Don't look under the internet.
All right, if we can make this that, I will be
Make this, that, this.
that, this, that.
Hello, everybody.
No.
Okay. Wait, Matt, are you recording?
Sure am.
Tight. So I can do that again. Hello, everybody.
No.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to. Hello.
We're not doing that.
Welcome to Don't Look Under the Internet, everybody, an internet comedy horror podcast featuring the likelihood of a Jason
Maybe. We'll see how I'm feeling.
and the man of Matt.
Hi.
Amon de la Macha.
Freeze warning just issued.
And me. I don't know what to do with that.
Oh,
Whatever
that's
you
what the
want.
bottom of my computer screen says right now.
Oh,
So.
bet. No doubt. Gonna hit you all with a little diluty
Come over here.
housekeeping.
I think you mean house queefing.
House queefing. Psych. I ain't got nothing. This is our other. Sorry, I'm eating a hot pocket. This is our other recording. And we don't have any housekeeping because we just went over already, you silly billies.
Fucking assholes.
Yeah. You're probably gonna hear a little bit of chewing noises from me.
Wow.
Apologies, people. I'm hungry.
Jesus.
But hey, who
Hi.
cares?
Great.
So we're kicking it back a little bit. We're having a fun time
Foolish.
today. You know, I decided we're gonna just relax, have a fun time, and just chat about some weird shit we found on either Reddit or the internet, I suppose. Because I forget what I said to you guys. I think it was just Reddit.
Yeah, you said Reddit.
I
never really
thought you
listened to
said
those.
internet, so I didn't read it.
That's fine.
Perfect. Internet/Reddit. We're doing another one of these. I love these kind of episodes. They're just they're easy.
I learned so much.
That's great because I phoned this in.
It really gives me an insight into your guys' minds, i.e., how much dedication you have to this. And if you're okay with me eating a hot pocket on air.
I think we have to be.
You do.
Okay.
We don't have
Speaking
an
of
option.
dedication, if you haven't left us a review, please leave us a 5-star review. We started
Yeah,
out
yeah.
at like 4.8, and then it was 4.7 for a while. Now we're down into that 4.6 territory, and I'm starting to get nervous. So we're almost at
Hey, you know
1,000
what?
reviews. So.
We did it.
If we get under 4.0, I think we're just gonna change
Cancel.
our tune.
I'm gonna cancel the podcast.
We'll go back to shifting sands or some shit.
Yeah. Shift your stance.
As
We're gonna
long
have
as-
to increase the Patreon. Remember how I said we're not being affected? Tariffs don't affect us. Well, if you don't get those reviews up, we're gonna have to
We're going
increase
to put
that
a
Patreon
tariff on,
price.
on Spotify.
Yeah. Anyway, so I thought we would just talk about some fun things that we found on Reddit and the internet in Matt's case. So I'll start first. I brought this up. I got us into this mess. I'm gonna start us into it. Okay,
All right.
I'm gonna get us into it.
I got
So,
us into this mess. I'm going to dig us deeper.
exactly.
I'm gonna
dig
make
us
sure
more
we
in-
can't get
but
out.
I'm gonna dig us deeper into this hole that is the ice ball.
I'm gonna build us a bunker.
So I found this subreddit called High Strangeness, which has become one of my new favorites. In High Strangeness, I found a post from a person named Blonde Monk 116 that says, "Loosh
Oh,
isn't a
God.
theory; it's the operating system."
What the fuck does that mean? That is
Loosh is
brand.
like-
That's brand new
that's like-
sentence for sure.
Isn't loosh like key? Like
No. So we're going to find out what Loosh is. So
it's like
Here
energy.
is-
It's like emotional energy, right?
yes, you're onto
it's like
something.
it's like
yes.
key.
Kind of. It's energy that is given off from your emotions.
Right.
It's like
God, I've heard of
leftover
this.
energy. And let me get into it.
I didn't think this was like a whole fucking theory.
Let me break down this whole thing for you because it gets pretty weird and wacky. So, first off, what is loosh? Loosh is a term used to describe the energetic byproduct of human emotion, especially fear, anxiety, unresolved grief, longing, suppressed love, rage, blind worship, and forced hope. It's emotional fuel, and something or someone benefits from you constantly generating it.
This is literally the fucking Magnus archives. This is what the Magnus Archives is about.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I'm reading this verbatim. Okay, this is how weird this sounds. So let's say it plainly. You are in a realm that feeds on your suffering. It's not personal, it's industrial.
Yep.
That's why wars never end. That's why tragedy cycles. That's why trauma is normalized, monetized, and immortalized in entertainment. The more you hurt, the more you feel, the more you leak. And most people,
I don't want
they've been taught that that's just life. Pay taxes, quiet quietly, scroll the void, die confused. The structure of the trap.
This is fucking metal. Like, what the hell?
This isn't a ball floating in space. This is a realm, a frequency locked containment zone with layered realities, time loops, and psychological filters designed to keep you small, distracted, and energetically tasty. It's not about shape, it's about function. Space is a lie. Death is a recycling system. The sky is a locked dome of predictive programming and encoded symbolism. It sounds wild. Ask yourself, why does this reality require your belief to keep working? Who benefits from this? I ask you. Call them what you want. The archons, parasites, energetic managers, AI fragments, thought forms with logos. They don't care what you believe as long as you stay emotionally relative. Damn it! I've ruined it. I've ruined it all. They don't
Brought me
care
out
what
of
you
it.
believe as long as you stay emotionally reactive and spiritually asleep. You think you're thinking freely? You're not. You're feeding. You're feeding. The solution, parentheses, the good part. No, this isn't hopeless. In fact, this is your exit ticket. Wake up, sheeple. The system requires your participation to function. It's a consent-based architecture masked by confusion and emotional overwhelm. What's the way out? You're probably asking yourself. Stop playing the game.
I just lost.
I just lost. Yeah.
Damn it. Here's what
Damn it.
Here's what that looks like. Stop assigning meaning to the pain they give you. Stop believing your thoughts are yours by default. Cut off the energetic charge you give to narratives, doom scrolling, fear porn,
What is
and
that?
emotional manipulation.
Yeah, can we talk about fear porn for a
Wait,
minute?
stop. Go back. What is fear porn?
Do you really want to know?
Yes, that's why I asked.
It's like being aroused, like a fear boner. You know?
I understand. I
You know that feeling
the
you get when you go to the
Okay.
haunted house and the lady
Tell me
screams
more.
at you, you're like, ah.
Yes, and you get real hard. I get that.
Yeah.
But what? What?
It's like when the grunge, it's like when the lady
What-
from the ring comes
how
out
do
on
you
the
make
TV,
that?
you're like, but that's what fear porn is.
Okay.
You know?
Isn't
Yeah.
she like 13?
No.
Not for this narrative.
Awakening isn't about being enlightened. It's about- cut that out. It's about becoming boring to the machine. When you stop reacting, you stop leaking. When you stop leaking, you stop feeding. When you stop feeding, you start remembering. And when enough of us remember, the system crashes. And the first comment about this on Reddit is, this was the premise of Monsters, Inc.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So
They turn their fear into laughter.
The
And it
kid-
turns out
yeah,
it's way
exactly.
more powerful.
exactly.
What?
Yeah.
Monsters Inc. is just
The
about the
system-
concept of loosh.
Yeah. The system
Whoosh.
feeds on negative emotions. So if you don't give it those emotions and you give it something different, it's a more powerful feeling.
Yeah, this is literally this is what the Magnus Archives is about. It's
Oh.
fucking great.
Well, this led me to the Ascension glossary,
Oh,
which is basically like
Jesus.
Wikipedia for anyone who carries a crystal in their pocket.
a JO crystal around their neck.
Yeah.
Ascension.
I
glossary?
found something on Loosh here. It's nothing really. It's just like a Wikipedia. It's basically like a Wikipedia article for Loosh. But I just wanted to read off a little bit of it because I think it helps describe Loosh just a little bit better as well. So, Loosh is, again, a term applied to energy produced by human beings and animals that other entities use to feed from. It is also referred to as the energy that is produced by suffering that entities feed. This is from books by Robert Monroe and maybe a play on the French word Louche. Louche. I don't know how to say it. Louche. Louche.
Lush.
Negative emotional energy collection. Reversal networks are collecting life force from the collective fields of all. First off, hang on. When you use collective too much, I know you're bullshitting me.
Collective.
Are collecting life force from the collective fields of all Earth inhabitants and producing more subtle black forces and miasma. The much sought after spiritual energy contained in these fields is called energetic loosh by the Cabals. In this context, Lush is referred to as the emotional energy radiated by animals and humans when feeling threatened, harmed, or being killed. That results in the traumatizing pain and suffering that is experienced and recorded in the body, mind, and soul. This trauma and pain gets recorded in the earth body itself. For centuries, the NAA have developed and exploited multidimensional occult practices through reversal creation code. This has been given to secret societies and institutions for the purpose of mind control and social engineering in order to harvest negative emotional energy or loosh from the masses. When the current acceleration of the electronic era, which promotes transhumanism and an array of artificial intelligence technologies both overtly and covertly, the exploitation to extract negative emotional energy from humanity is at an all-time high. Our planet is being deluged with negative mind control programming and AI broadcasts that target the negative ego filters that have infiltrated every fiber of society. This is in order to elicit extremely negative violence, which are being massively superimposed upon humanity and the earthly kingdoms at this time. Extremely charged negative emotional energy, such as the archived during satanic ritual abuse, contains hormonal adrenaline cascades that course throughout the cellular energy within the human body, blood, and brain.
Is this a
Under
tulpa?
such intense extremes of painful suffering, the blood and flesh becomes charged with heightened molecular content, which is highly prioritized by negative aliens and satanic forces.
Negative aliens?
This is why they delight in the torture, suicide, and killing of human beings, especially the innocent souls unable to protect themselves like children.
This is like a tulpa with extra stuff.
Yeah, I've already got the negative aliens article open because I also need
Yeah.
to know what this is.
What is that?
Negative aliens. These are extradimensional beings that have lost their consciousness connected to God source and are utilizing human and other beings as their food
There
source.
are
like a
so
parasite,
many concepts I
to
need
live thousands of
clarification
years. Honestly,
So
now
they're
you
not
see why I
they're
brought
not
this up.
aliens that feed on negative energy. They are aliens because they've been
on.
disconnected
Because of
from
negative
God.
energy.
They've lost a connection to the God source, so they have to get their substance from negative human emotions and whatnot.
The
Well,
God
what's the God
source is a
source?
0-point God matrix field, and it's the source of our Genesis.
Mhm.
It projects itself through the cosmic trinity, which acts as the threefold
I have
flounder flame.
so many questions.
I
Do you
can't.
see-
I can't.
I can't do this.
Do you
anymore.
see why I chose Lush as my topic today?
I've
What
heard-
the
so-
fuck is all
What the
this?
I've heard
so much
Dude,
here.
I've heard of Lush, and I've heard people bring this up in like passing as something they believe in.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that and I on offhand I had to ask him like, what is this? Like, oh, it's like just you realize your thoughts around negative energy, positive energy, that kind of stuff. Oh, okay.
The
that doesn't really
second
make sense.
section of the God source article,
Mhm.
which is
The
actually
living
called
breath.
the
0
living
point
breath of
field.
God.
Yeah, so this starts with living breath of God starts with the gradual particle acceleration, which apparently is something that over the past few months from when we have been undergoing a process of gradual particle acceleration. This particle acceleration is a natural dynamic of physics that exists at the quantum level.
See, you
What?
can't
Do you
disprove that, and that's stupid.
Mm-hmm. Do you see why I chose this?
Yes, we should have just
We
done the whole
need,
fucking
yeah, we
episode
need a
on
whole
this.
episode about this.
Give us like a month. We're
We're in
doing
Yeah.
this.
this.
We're in this.
Can
you
we
know?
just do
I'm
this
all about
next week?
this. Yeah, I'm here. Let's do it.
We can. But I chose Lush because I was like, I found this weird Reddit post about how it's the operating system of, humanity.
This sounds incredible.
And here's the thing. Here's the
Oh
thing with
my
Lush.
god. I went to the front page of the Ascension Glossary, which is where
Oh,
we've
God.
been, and the first line is the Ascension Glossary is part of the energetic synthesis family of websites. There's a whole family of these. We don't need an episode. We need to start a whole new fucking podcast.
Look at that.
serious. What is this?
Energeticsynthesis.com.
Shifting timelines, waking up to hard truths,
Oh.
Pisces solar alchemy, pushing for timelines,
Connecting
reclaiming
primary
crystal
There are
origin,
forms,
so
risk-
many of these.
risk
The
the
Second
Rishi
Coming
claim.
and King Arthur timeline.
the negative alien agenda.
We're starting a new podcast.
Oh my-
Let's
we
just
have
make
to.
this. There's 21 years of this stuff.
This is the whole thing, Mike.
have-
you have just stumbled on a whole year or
Can we
two
make
of delusion.
can we
How
make
about they
this
have
a
like a-
Patreon tier?
Absolutely.
At
Fucking-
least?
yes, they got the ticker and everything. oh my god, we have to make a new tier, or just fucking be like, guys, we're putting our regular content on pause because we have to know.
The content shared on this website is chronologically of direct experiences in telepathic communication and or contact made between various levels of
99.
interdimensional intelligences and Lisa Renee, which began in 1999.
It's even more. 26 years.
Yeah, the fucking 26 years of the bifurcation of time.
Oh yeah, the bifurcation of time.
All paths ultimately lead to one. For one and for all, I am God. I am sovereign. I am free.
The Hyros Gamos. Is that the Hunger Games?
Is that the-
Okay.
this-
All right, Mike.
I-
We'll let you finish.
Marriage level.
No, so-
no, I'm so into this.
Here's the
This
thing.
is insane.
So this is why I brought it up. I wanted to bring it up. I didn't know about this.
how the fuck are we gonna follow you with our bullshit?
I know, right? I didn't know about this, and I'm very happy we just stumbled upon this.
We
But
have to.
I
do
wanted,
that
I wanted to bring
time.
this up because Lush brought me to
There's more. Oh my fuck.
Lush brought me to the Ascension glossary, and I'm with you guys. Where I genuinely believe we need to start looking into this and making this a
the
thing.
exopolitic ET agendas.
Mhm. And
The law of one. The
The law of
Highlander
one.
exists in this universe.
why is it? Why is it also that these lunatics that believe in this kind of shit have the coolest sounding names for their things?
Well, as
You know
soon
what
as
I
I
mean?
see
Like-
Ascension,
Because
I'm like, no.
because the words don't fucking mean anything. They just slam
don't.
two good sounding words together.
that's
it's
very
literally
fair.
it's just buzzwords.
Yeah, it is just buzzwords.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And they do that to prey on the non-critical thinkers of the world, and that's why they have such a large following. It's like, ooh, it sounds smart.
But like
I wouldn't know, but
look, the Merkaba star, and I'm just like, oh my
that's just
god.
the Star of David.
Oh yeah, it sure is.
Okay,
Yeah.
we need to move on. We're gonna be here.
Yeah, we didn't. Anyway,
Yeah, we
So-
could spend all fucking day here.
now
Holy
you see.
shit.
Now you see why I selected Lush as my topic for today. It's that you give off this energy whenever you are negative, and there are things in this world that feed off of that. Now here's my initial thought when I read this. I don't think this person knows what capitalism is and how it feeds on giving you brain dead content, because that's how it makes money.
Yeah.
Because the less you think, the more you'll
better.
just ingest that content and give them more of your money. That's why negative things are so popular.
That's why you love it when you see people getting kicked in the nuts or falling off a cliff or
People
whatever.
with our dumb monkey brain respond better to
negativity.
negativity
Which
than we
is-
do positivity, which is awful, but it's just a fact. And that's why you see negative things out there, because it's easier to make money off of. And we live in a corporate hell of a world.
It's also easier to believe.
So
if it's negative
I'm not
spin
going to
versus
sit here
positive.
and think that this is aliens using some form of reversal network. I think it's just TikTok knows how to make money by giving you man getting hit in nuts.
Right. It's not a complex system.
There's no cabal.
No.
It's just the algorithm knows that you
It-
prefer
Humans like stupid.
to humans like stupid, and the algorithm know that.
Yep.
But this shit is intense.
What the
This
fuck,
is some
man?
intense shit.
Reverse Mercabia.
Boys,
Merkaba
I'm starting a
research?
document right after this because through just Googling some of the terms that we just talked about, I found other subreddits. One called Starseed, which is like some sort of like event in this timeline of crazy shit. But another one is called Our Soul Nexus. And there's a post on Our Soul Nexus that is titled "Connecting to Plasma Intelligences via Chat GPT." We gotta do like
What?
we gotta look at
What?
this. We gotta look
Also,
at this.
I went on my tirade
Oh,
there.
we have a fucking marathon for
Go-
you guys, I think.
Going on my tirade in our Discord, Nika said, "This sounds like what's on those soap bottles." It's 1,000%. It sounds like we're reading soap bottles.
And actually, we might be. You will never know.
Anti-HG technology
Oh yeah.
is short
Hand
for
grind.
anti-hierogamic technology, which is a gender splitter weapon that has been identified by grid workers, which note that it has
I don't-
impact on the light body
I don't
and is a
understand.
form
any
of
this.
targeting individuals with assorted electronic harassment designed for mind control.
This is so far into the esoteric realm that I didn't understand a single concept that you just threw at me.
Now, grid workers, planetary grid worker, is
What
a
the
network of living consciousness matrix that is encoded with the blueprint or original instruction set for the divine plan of humanity's spiritual evolution. Oh my God, there's so much here. I'm at a loss of words for so much of this.
All right,
stuff,
we
man.
got to move.
We gotta
move on.
We gotta move on.
This is a whole fucking episode
I'm
or
done.
two.
I'm done. That's all I got. I'm
Holy
shutting
shit.
it down. I'm shutting it down.
Fuck. Well,
Which one
I don't
of
know.
us draws the short straw of having to immediately follow that?
I'll draw the short straw simply because I'm actually really excited about mine, and it's
Actually,
only
Matt, didn't you say that you honed it in today? You phoned it in.
No, not
Let's
really.
see. Let's see. Go ahead.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
No,
not really.
Jason, you go. You go.
So the one that I found, I've actually been trying to get us to actually cover this as like a solo topic.
Yeah.
But it's not hard to condense down into a super minute description. But I have been talking about Wi-Fi signals coming from 30 feet underneath concrete pads, and I've been suggesting we cover this, and I understandably nobody knew why.
This
Like,
has been an topic that I've wanted to save kind of specifically for an episode like this.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what
yeah.
I mean,
I'm actually glad that I refound it because like I completely forgot that this was a thing until I stumbled back across it on Reddit. I'm like, oh shit. So this is the post. I'm gonna read part of it verbatim, and then we're kind of just gonna I will say that there's no answer here. So I would love it if you guys were to throw forth any kind of solution or like scenario where this is a thing that could exist. So here we go. It says, "Hi. For the record, this is a serious post." Starting off well. So please, no tinfoil hat comments, etc. Recently, I lived on a semi-urban farm property for a few months, and I noticed some very unusual things that I won't get into here. What I'd like to know is what reason there might be for somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 low-strength Wi-Fi networks, all with exactly the same signal strength, peaking at the same point location, to be seemingly emanating from underneath a concrete pad, which is supposed to be simply covering gravel and dirt. To clarify, I used a Wi-Fi analyzer to ensure that it wasn't just a coincidental situation where lots of neighborhood networks happen to have similar signal strength due to the distances they were from their sources. I walked in concentric circles with the Wi-Fi analyzer running, and the further I got from the point location on the concrete pad mentioned above, the weaker the signals became. And he did this basically from 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, just to make sure that this was the spot it was coming from. No matter which direction you went, it degraded in proportion to the distance you were from the spot. There were residential homes on two sides of the property, but to the rear of the property, there was a large county park, and to the front, there was another larger farm. But there was clearly no Wi-Fi routers. The next peculiar thing was that these networks' SSIDs would change every 5 minutes or so. They also covered the entire 2.4G spectrum from channel 1 to 14 and had total coverage over the entire spectrum. As you watch the signal strength diagram on the Wi-Fi analyzer in real time, there were peaks and valleys in signal strength, but they were all coordinated across these low-strength signal networks, which means I think as one signal valleyed, another one was peaking. So it kept
so you don't lose the connection.
Right. Also, I used a Seek thermal imaging camera to check out the peak signal strength point on the location on the concrete pad. This guy has a lot of tech to check out weird shit.
He's using a heat signature
Thermal
to find
camera. He's got a Wi-Fi
How
analyzer.
does that work?
So where are these concrete pads? Hold on.
It's literally where did he say he was? Man, that's far up.
Like what are
so-
what are the concrete pads in? Is it a road?
So it's out like in the middle of a field. Like
Oh.
it's literally just covering like gravel and stuff to create a flat surface outside. Like that's it.
Okay.
Apparently that's what it's supposed to be, but there are these Wi-Fi signals. I drilled a hole through part of the pad and drilled a couple other holes randomly in different spots on the same concrete pad. I poured water down all the holes, and the only one at the peak signal strength location would drain and drain and drain without filling up. The others all filled up after about half a liter of water was poured into them. Any idea what this means? Thanks.
So
Real or fake?
I mean,
What's
yeah.
up?
Real or fake?
Really fake. So I'm not like that knowledgeable on this kind of stuff, but like he said he used a heat
Like a thermal
a
camera.
thermal camera.
It's what the
That-
like the
you
police
can't use a
use.
thermal camera to find Wi-Fi signals. can
Well,
you?
Well,
if
the idea would be it
equipment's
would be-
running hotter.
It would be coming
Mm.
from some electronic device. Any electronic device that's strong enough to put out
Gives
any
out
sort
heat.
of signal is going to
Yeah.
generate more heat than just concrete.
That's how
True.
they find people growing weed in their attics.
But if the
This is fine.
concrete's real thick, I mean, a Wi-Fi like antenna. Something that generates a Wi-Fi signal is going to be fairly low power, so you might not be able to see it through concrete, though.
I wonder if this is like, I don't know how this works, but I wonder if I know it said it was kind of like in the middle of the field, but he mentioned that there's like a residential
farm,
area
urban.
nearby.
Yeah, he said there's a couple of houses nearby.
So it's relatively urban.
Yeah, it's relatively urban. It's not like a neighborhood. It's like farm fields with some houses in them.
I'm wondering if, again, I don't know if this is how this kind of thing works or not, but I wonder if it's like a city ordinance kind of thing, like for example, where there's like where I live, there's like street lights and street lights and shit like that, and they work. They presumably they probably work off some sort of like wireless signal for like that camera on the top. Yeah. I wonder if this is a similar situation where they're like setting up like
no, there's no roads, like this is not like a.
But maybe they're gonna start it, and they're getting like the underground shit done first.
I guess my biggest question is why would one farm have 25 to 30 signals?
Yeah, I was thinking that, or like though I would think I don't know if they'd use Wi-Fi for this, but like self-driving cars, like
oh my god, the fucking farm equipment.
I was just about to say that. Yeah,
they do that now with the combines and shit.
Might be self-automated, and this might be just. They might have just found one spot, but they might be all over.
None of the comments are helpful, but like, fuck, this is really helpful.
Because that's like a thing, and like it's not so much in the U.S. There is like a small stretch of road somewhere, I think, where they do this, but they like basically put like a Wi-Fi antenna every certain like feet or whatever underneath a road, so that as the self-driving cars are going along, they can like connect and then.
Huh.
Yeah, I think it might be something like that with the farm equipment, like you're saying.
Now that you guys said self-driving and it's on a farm where this was found, like that would make sense to me. I just don't know why it's buried under a fucking concrete pad.
Maybe that's like the parking spot. Like maybe that's
Oh my god.
Know?
Oh,
like
so
giant farm Roombas. Oh, that might be how the giant farm Roombas find their way back to their charging pad.
Oh
that's
my god. Yeah.
But the pad is their charging pad.
Right, yeah.
So
but
giant
like
farm room.
But I was thinking about like why would the charging pad need Wi-Fi? But like if the thing is like out so far or whatever, it's like I'm just gonna keep going where the signal gets stronger and
if it needs to charge, it goes back to exactly. Oh my god. That's fucking genius.
When was that from though?
This was posted 8 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's stretching it a bit, but
that is stretching it a bit because I don't think we had that then.
We might have, but it would have
been prototype. Yeah.
I don't know.
I will. So at the very bottom, somebody does say, and this has been since deleted, and it was posted about a year ago. And it says, I used to bury seismographs that would transmit data on a hidden Wi-Fi, drive over the unit and connect, then download all of its data and move on to the next one. They were mainly used to monitor conditions around wastewater pools.
Okay. Well, it could be not necessarily that exact thing, but something similar to it.
Something similar where you drive over this pad, and that's how you know you're downloading data from whatever these fucking things are doing. So that could be something too, but like, I just don't understand why you'd have to bury it.
I mean, if you
don't want to run it over with your farm,
yeah, you don't want it to get damaged, and if you just put it under dirt, the dirt's gonna get wet.
Yeah, it'll get wet. Yeah, that's fair. Damn. Then you wouldn't have to worry about like crushing them or some shit.
Yeah,
they're just safe.
I don't know. That sounds about right, but yeah, that is very weird though.
I think I'm on board with the theory that it's a hub for like self-driving tractors and shit.
Yeah,
farm Roombas.
Well, the other interesting
farm Roombas.
The other interesting part is they said they found like what did they say, like 20 different signals coming
25 to 30
coming from this one
depending
pad?
On when they measure.
Why would you need so many signals from one pad though? Wouldn't they be spread out more?
See, you're not wrong.
But if you want all your farm Roombas to come back somewhere, you would want them to all come back to the same location so you can service them all.
If it's on a main path that leads to like the fields and there's also like the main crossroads for like driving into the field versus going back to the farm, I can see why you'd run it there.
It could also be for because in like again 8 years ago, stretching this a little bit, but like newer cars, they have to have fucking like firmware updates.
Yeah.
And
you
like I had a Honda and it would just connect to any Wi-Fi signal that was close and just download it software updates when you parked it. And
Yeah.
so it could be that where it's like farm equipment that needs regular
Huh.
software updates, and
Yeah.
it just connects to its own Wi-Fi network and downloads the updates or whatever. I don't know.
They also don't say in the post, like, what kind of community are we looking at here? Because this is 8 years ago,
Yeah,
so
no,
like the technology might be kind of but if they're like a rich ass
urban farm
farmer.
property.
if it's rich people, I can kind of believe this a bit more because they just have that money to blow on this like experimental technology for their farm. If
Yeah,
they're
but
rich
if it's
farmers, like
just
if this is like a Bill Gates farm or some shit.
But if it's just like your average farmer,
That's what I
I
mean. I don't know if this would be your average farmer. This is probably
not
some,
8 years ago with self-driving
probably
tractors,
some
I don't
very
think
wealthy
so.
farmer.
Yeah, if that's the case, and I have no
Or-
way of looking at their.
We need
Or-
somebody.
financial
We
status.
need a tech-savvy agricultural person
Yeah.
who listens to this
This-
podcast to reach out.
Yeah,
Also, we're looking over probably the simplest answer here. If this was 8 years ago, we know that this shit is experimental at that time. This might have been owned by whatever company was making the technology, and this is where they were
this is
experimenting.
Monsanto routers is what you're saying.
No, like if John Deere was experimenting with this like self-driving
just
farm
prototype.
equipment, this might have been where they were testing it to
Yeah.
see if it works.
That
and this
would-
might have been like,
Well,
That would make even
You know,
more sense
so,
as
but-
to why there's so many different ones too. Because if
Yeah.
you were testing things like that, you would probably want each one to be on its own Wi-Fi signal, so that if something goes wrong, it's easier to troubleshoot.
I will say this guy lived on this farm.
oh, he said
Meaning,
that?
Oh.
yes, meaning if like
Oh.
something were to be going on like that, I feel like he'd know about
Okay,
it.
well that kind of blows the whole
It
theory.
wasn't like he was just out and about and he's like, "Oh, this
Okay.
is somebody's farm. I'm gonna go check it out."
well,
Like he
never
lived
mind.
there.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things where I'm like, I don't know if like this is actually like it's definitely not like previous owner, because if this is 8 years ago, that means
Yeah,
let's say
who's-
they owned it for a year. It's 9 years ago, it's even less likely. You know what I mean? So it's one of the reasons why I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Got to set up a camera and just watch if anyone comes by.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like I don't even know what you would bury Wi-Fi routers for. And if it is the seismographs thing, like I guess that makes sense. I just don't know enough about it to like know how that works.
Yeah, we could be looking at it wrong. It could be something for like a government program that was put there
Years ago.
years ago. Yeah, before they moved in or before he moved into the farm, or
Yeah.
like they say they lived at the farm, but did
Mhm.
they own it, or was it owned by like the dad, and the dad agreed to let XYZ person
Oh,
put
that's
these
fair.
there? You know what I mean?
if they're
That's fair. It
old,
could-
the question becomes then like, so I assume these Wi-Fi networks are secured.
Yeah, so the SSID changed every like 5 minutes.
Okay, but I assume that they were secured with like a password or something. Because
It didn't
then
say, actually.
then you would need to figure well. So
I mean,
you,
I would assume.
you could learn a lot by just connecting to it, but if it's
Yeah.
secured, if they're old, then you would have to look and see what kind of security they're using. Because if it's using like WPA2, it's a fairly newer network. But if it's using like one of like the old Wi-Fi security things,
Does
Not
it help
only-
if I tell you it covers the 2.4G spectrum band from
Yeah, then
1
that
to
would mean-
14.
that would mean it's probably an older network because it's not
Okay, that's
it's
what I
not 5 gigahertz. So
Right.
I mean, you could still have a newer 2.4 network, but if it was a 5, then you would know it would be a newer network.
That's
But
fair.
what type of encryption or security it uses would also give you like an idea of what time frame the network was set up in. And like those older security protocols are actually really easy to break. So
Nice.
I don't know. We need to know more.
I,
need to go out there.
I want to know more.
We got to go out to this farm.
We'll see. Well, I'll ask
Do they
him where he
say
lives.
what the Wi-Fi name comes up as?
No, they don't say that. Yeah.
Just like Dave's Wi-Fi, just out in the middle of a farm.
It says Wi-Fi.
Wow, that's interesting. I honestly,
I want to know, like, really why I wanted to talk about this, like, full episode by itself or here. I don't care. I just want to know, like, what the fuck? Like, why?
I'm glad you brought this one up because it might not have as much going on as like mine, but there's a lot more conversation to be had about like theories.
There's
around it.
no solid answer to it, and it's not fucking wildly out there that you're just like, this is probably not real.
Yeah.
Like it's very much in the realm of possibility. It's very real. It's mysterious because there's no like.
have
I
there been any
no
other
idea.
posts about this?
No, dude, this is from 8 years ago,
Hmm.
and there's literally like there's 9 comments total. Like,
Hmm.
and one of them is me saying, what did I say? ever find out what's happening, I'm weirdly curious. Like that's it.
Or
The
the
last
simplest
most-
explanation, they made it up.
That honestly, yeah, made up for internet clout. Hey, we haven't talked about that in a hot minute.
Making it up for internet clout.
Yeah, that's very, very possible.
You
but
think
also,
someone
like,
would do that? Just
I
go on
don't
the
think
internet and tell
anyone's-
lies?
no, you can't lie on the internet.
No, they stop you from doing
Yeah, that's the whole point, I think.
the bidet.
But yeah, I've got nothing else about it. It's just a super mysterious phenomena that's happened to, from what I can tell, one dude.
Yeah,
Just
right.
one guy on Reddit has brought this up, and I personally really want to know what the fuck's going on with that.
I'm surprised there's not more.
There's
than
just
just this
so many
one post.
networks.
Not only that, but I'm surprised he hasn't like this. This is
Yeah.
what kind of partially makes me think he made it up. Is like, if this was real, I would have posted way more than just once, and I would still be doing it to this fucking day.
Yeah, I
know
would
what I mean?
figure this out. I wouldn't be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
well, that's fucking
It's-
weird, and then move on with my life. I
Anyway.
would.
Especially if it's on my property. Like
This
you
would
said.
become my sole motivation until I figured it out.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh,
I'd be too
I would lose my
invested.
house. Over
I would
this
be
for
using
sure.
podcast money to get a camera, put it out there, see if anyone comes up to the fucking thing, and go from there.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
this is a audio drama podcast beginning for sure.
honestly, yeah,
It's a
it
really
could be,
good one
yeah.
too.
Oh yeah, you could go a lot of different directions with that.
There's so many directions. Somebody make this. Somebody
Yeah.
with more time than me.
Matt, what do you got? Me Boyle.
I'm gonna teach y'all some computer science here real quick.
Yay!
So,
I didn't come here to learn. I came here to get stupider.
I'm gonna start this with something, and you're gonna be like, "What the fuck does this have to do with anything? What is this? This isn't a weird thing on the internet." But we'll get there. So, the thing that I want to talk to you about today is something some may have heard of. If you're a computer science student and you go to college for computer sciencey things, there's a very good chance you're gonna hear about this at some point. It's called the Game of Life, or Conway's Game of Life. Sometimes it's just called Life, but basically this is a computer algorithm simulation thingy concept that was invented by a mathematician named John Horton Conway in 1970. And what it is it's an algorithm for simulating like some sort of very basic life form simulation. And there's a few different rules to it. So the idea is essentially you've got a grid that is divided into, it can be any size grid, but each spot on the grid is called a cell. And you start by drawing a pattern on the grid, which is like the initial state of the system. And that's called the seed of the system. And then you start running the simulation. And the rules of the simulation are so before we start with that, if you mark a cell, like draw something into a cell, that means the cell is alive. If you don't put anything in it, that means that the cell is not alive. So any cell that has something in it is alive. So every cell is either alive or not. So when you start running the simulation, the rules are any live cell with fewer than 2 live neighbors dies, as if like by underpopulation. Any live cell with 2 or 3 live neighbors lives on to the next generation. Any live cell with more than 3 live neighbors dies, as if by overpopulation. And any dead cell with exactly 3 live neighbors becomes a live cell, as if by reproduction. So it's just this fun little game where you start with a grid and something is drawn on it. And when you start the simulation, things start happening. And the things that happen follow these rules. Now, here is where this becomes a fun thing or a strange thing on the internet. I mentioned this was started in 1970. There has become an entire cult of people. Cult is a strong word, but like community of people who are very fucking into this.
Okay.
Initially, the interest in this started with like, oh, it's an interesting experiment in computer computation. And then they figured out that like the simulation itself is Turing complete, which means that you can actually use the simulation.
Holy shit.
You can actually use this simulation to run any algorithm, like any computer algorithm. Theoretically,
And AI just passed the Turing test too.
That's really, really
But-
unfortunate.
Essentially, this this simulation itself is a computer in its most basic form. But there's an entire group of people who are just super fucking into this and play it as a game. So there's this website called conwaylife.com. And if you go to conwaylife.com, you will be greeted with an implementation of this game of life. And there's a couple of different like preset patterns that you can choose from. One is called the Cosper Glider Gun, and you can select a pattern and you can hit play and it'll start moving around. And for people who aren't watching this, it's like basically the pattern starts playing and then you see all the cells lighting up and then disappearing as the cells like become alive or die. The interesting thing about this and what people try to do is depending on the pattern that you start with, you can start making things happen. Like there's a lot of different types of patterns, like cyclical patterns that have actually been named. Some of them are called gliders. Some of them are called spaceships. And they're basically like these patterns that continue to move on their own or become cyclical over time. And there's just like this whole community of people who try to come up with these interesting patterns and make interesting things happen.
I'm watching the video you're sharing. I'm like transfixed by it.
Yeah.
It's like
It's kind of hypnotic. Yeah.
it really is.
So like
I think I kind of get it.
one of these examples is this Copperhead. So this is a spaceship that is the only pattern that they know of. Or no, I'm sorry. Sir Robin is the only pattern that they know of that is like a spaceship that moves not straight up and down or straight left and right on the grid. It actually moves like diagonally. And if you pick it and hit play, you can watch it move diagonally. Now, like I said, where this becomes sort of a weird thing on the internet is there are forums attached to this. And these are the nerdiest, most basement-dwelling individuals I've ever seen in my entire life. If you go to the forums, there's people that like share their different patterns that they've found. There's people that are very proud of patterns that do certain things that they discovered on their own. And then there's a sandbox section. And the sandbox section has lots of things that are like just like little games that people play in the forums. And it reminds me a lot of like kind of early internet stuff where people are just on here wasting time doing things like building a civilization. So there's a thread on here that's like people asking what pattern are you like the most. So basically, what pattern have you plugged into this thing that you personally identify with? And people can post
a whole culture here.
Yeah, can post their own patterns by so if you see a pattern on here that somebody's posted, it's just like a code basically, and you can go back to the front page and you can hit advanced options and you can paste the code in here and then see what this person came up with. So this pattern that I'm playing right now is the pattern that this person feels that they identify with the most. It says life ended at generation 26, which means that every cell on the grid died. I don't know if that's what they identify with. There's a role playing thread.
I was going to ask if there was like an RP server.
There's like a role playing thread where people basically like role play as cells in the game of life, and they like continue the game of life as if they are a character in this cell grid.
What?
There's people that have written entire computer programs that have to do with this. No, I think these are just programs that they've written that have something to do with it. There's here's one that I thought was really interesting. This is one that I am not
identify with it.
No, I don't understand. Like, you got to be real nerdy to feel like this is what you need to be spending your time on. But somebody asked the question, if you could take any pattern that's been discovered in this thing and send it back to a point in time, when? And the response is the responses are just like, this guy has this P-15 glider gun, which is a pattern that fires a glider, and he said he would send it back to 1970.
Mhm.
And
Did he give a reason or?
to send it to Conway before he discovered what a glider was. There's one that doesn't make any sense. He would send this oscillator G stabilization, which I don't even know exactly what it means, to January 1973. No explanation given for that. And
I wonder if we search that date and oscillation, we'll find like some weird ass
Right.
event.
I don't know,
Something big happened.
but this is
involving-
the pattern. It's just wiggling around, my man.
That's the 1973 pattern.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
some people might find this interesting. I find this kind of interesting. Some people may think this is lame as shit, but I find it very interesting that there are people who are just like all about this.
dedicated to it.
Like this.
It's like a religion.
Look at this thing that's on the screen right now and just imagining just being all about it.
Just like this is all you think about. This is all you talk
Yeah.
about.
This is what your dreams are made of.
This is turning into a religion.
Pixels blipping in and out of existence. This
Yeah.
is your life.
Well, so it goes even further. Like if you read the Wikipedia article, that there are people who like are just way too consumed with this, and they like identify with it on a spiritual level and think that there are secrets to the universe that are just like deep within this simulation.
So how is this? How does this work as like a computer in itself? Like I don't understand what this has to.
Because you give it rules and it has to abide by them.
I mean, I can't do the proof to show you how exactly this is a computer, but
Like I guess
the idea
maybe
behind the
this
idea
is just out of my brain.
It's literally, I think it's just based off of ones and zeros. Like it zeros off, one is on. And that's how you tell the pixels. And that there's a code behind it, depending on what pattern you give, and it'll follow those rules. Just like a computer.
Yeah, I mean anything that a Turing machine is basically just like a set of rules that define how to perform instructions. And so this thing it's a set of rules that follows instructions. And so the idea is, in theory, you can supply this thing with a carefully crafted set of instructions to
Be a Rorschach
perform
test, I don't know.
any outcome. Like if you have an outcome in mind, there's in theory, there's some set of instructions that you can feed this thing that will result in that outcome. Whether
But
that's
can it
like
run-
drawing a dick on the screen or
Can it run
like
Doom?
well, see, that's the idea,
Oh.
right? Doom is just a set of code. In theory, since this is Turing complete, it can run
You should be
any
able to.
computer algorithm. So in theory, if you could figure out how to convert Doom from C or assembly or whatever language
this.
to this, there's a way. You could
It's just real complicated and not worth your time.
Exactly.
Damn. That is the ultimate test. Can it run Doom?
Can it run Doom?
There are, and I didn't have time to look it up, and really like try to find them. And if somebody knows where I could find something like that, I'd be very interested. But there was something that I found that claimed that people have built rudimentary like general computation devices on this thing, where like
Well, that's like the people who built fully functional computers in Minecraft.
Mm,
Like, it's fucking crazy that people can do that.
right.
Absolutely insane. But that's the kind of brain that I say I wish I had, but I'm actually kind of glad that I don't, because I feel like with that intelligence comes some just dark, horrendous shit.
It's depression mostly.
Mostly depression.
Mike seems like
Yeah,
he's
that
real
shit's-
interested.
I don't.
He's
No,
like, I don't
I'm-
give a shit.
I'm interested, but I if I'm being real with you, I do not understand anything that just happened. Like I'm interested because it seems very interesting, but everything you said, not a single word made any sense to me.
I want you to imagine that you saw two blobs of gack on the ground, and all of a sudden those two blobs, through no process that you started behaving like they were alive.
But that didn't behave like they were.
This
alive,
is
though.
The Sims in
is where-
1970. Is basically
Correct.
it's basically
This
what
is the
this
19
is.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the game Dwarf Fortress?
No.
Fuck. Never mind.
This is
That's a, that,
this is the
looks
first
just like Dwarf Fortress.
This is the first
I'm not even
life
kidding.
simulation game. If
Yeah,
if
But
this
what
didn't
about this is
exist,
simulating life?
so the idea is okay. Let's break this
No,
down.
I'm
real quick.
getting it. I didn't mean to be judgmental. I
No,
apologize.
no. I'll explain it as basically as I can real quick. So you have this grid here, right?
Mm-hmm.
This grid is mostly white, but then there's like these little black dots on it.
Yeah.
Imagine these are single-celled organisms, right?
Okay.
What are if single-celled organisms are alive, what are they going to do? They're going to reproduce.
Mhm.
So
Hopefully.
this simulation reproduces these cells or kills these cells or keeps them alive based on
Depending on
the
a rule.
rules that I explained.
Okay.
If any live cell with fewer than 2 live neighbors, it has fewer than 2 live neighbors, it'll die because it can't survive on its own. If there's any live cell with 2 or 3 live neighbors, it lives on. Any live cell with more than 3 live neighbors dies because there's overpopulation and not enough resources. And then any dead cell with exactly 3 live neighbors becomes a live cell, which is basically simulating reproduction. So this is the initial state of this. If you hit play, then that stuff starts happening. And so
Okay.
16 generations in, this is the population of the single-celled organisms.
Okay.
And the goal here basically is to try to figure out different initial patterns of the population that will do different stuff. So like I just drew this squiggly thing on the board,
Mm-hmm.
and now I hit
Right.
play to see what it does. And it does this, whatever the fuck this is.
Looks like
It
died.
made
And
this
you just
thing
discovered
here,
the
which is
perfect-
just like
It looks like it
these little
dies pretty
spinny.
quickly.
Well, it created these little spinny doodads.
Oh yeah, you got some pinwheels. over
Yeah,
there. Some
so-
windmill farm.
There, and it made a glider. It
Little do we
This
know
thing's
that you
taken
off.
just discovered the perfect algorithm.
right.
Yeah, like
Like people have been working on this since the 70s to do what you just did.
Moot shows up and draws 7 squiggly lines. And, Yup.
You drew Bart Simpson's hair, and now we have a living organism.
This is like the time my dad caught a fucking fly with chopsticks when he wasn't paying attention.
Okay, interesting. All right, that I guess it makes a little sense, but
It's not life, but it abides by
Right.
some of life's most basic rules.
right.
And I think that's why the simulation is so
Is
interesting.
your shit still going?
I know.
I think you did it, man. I think you solved a good one.
you
Well,
solved life.
Here's
Solved
an interesting one that somebody put on the forums that I thought was fun. This one is basically just like a machine that goes forever. So
life. Oh shit. Okay.
it like this thing comes down here, it hits this thing, and then it goes back up here and it hits this thing. All this shit happens.
Oh
and then the
my
cycle
God,
just
yeah.
The cycle just repeats. It just keeps running
Just
around in circles.
repeats. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, so this is okay. Use the diagonal barriers at 90-degree angles to make
It's
an
an
infinite machine.
oscillator, I think, is what this is called.
Yeah.
But that's the idea: is you
This
just
is-
try to make patterns that do
This
interesting
is
shit.
fucking
like this.
mesmerizing.
It is pretty memorized.
Like
Yeah.
I could watch this all fucking night.
Right. All right. Interesting.
Damn.
So how did
I'm sorry. What was
how
the
does
name? What was the
this-
name of this website?
ConwayLife.com.
ConwayLife.com. Okay.
How are you able to how are people able to turn that into something that can like do like 8 times 8?
See,
equals
that's what I
64?
was asking. That was what I didn't have enough time to find, and I would be
Oh,
interested
gotcha.
if somebody's
will
been able to
say-
do that. But
It claims to be a life simulator, not an intelligent life simulator. Because if you ask a salamander what 8 times 8 is,
Well, no, but
Like-
Matt already said that people were able to make this into like a computer that can do calculations. Like you said that, didn't you?
yes,
Yeah.
and that's if you
Yeah.
input the correct input at the beginning, kind of like people. The only reason we're able to do computations in our head is because our genetic makeup was correctly formed under the right circumstances. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Very similar. Not all intelligent life is going to be able to do mathematical computations. And I think this is.
I don't know if that
simulating
answers my question or not because I don't.
You're asking
understand.
how they do computations, right?
Yeah.
You have to set up the rules for it, and each one of those dots is technically a rule because it abides by.
Yeah, but how
rules.
do you? That's I want. How do you, I want to know how they're able to take those rules and turn them into being able to do the math? Is what I'm thinking.
A lot of complicated steps.
Probably, and I'm curious to see what those steps are.
I don't know how complicated. I see. I was curious about that too. Is like how complicated of an actual like proper
Yeah.
computer algorithm has anybody ever been able to actually run
Yeah.
on one of
Did
these.
you-
I have no idea.
Have you-
I don't have a
no,
fucking
okay.
clue.
I wasn't sure if you like dug into that or anything like that.
Is
but, like,
there an end game that's supposed to happen with this?
Well, no,
thing?
because
Like,
it's
is
not a
there-
game. It's just a simulation. There's
it's
no.
yeah, right. People have
You
turned
called,
it into
you
a
called
game.
it a game. Don't
Well-
don't you gaslight me. I heard you in the first.
It is called a game. It's actually called a zero-player game because you can't do anything with it once you hit the play button. Like
Right.
It just.
I didn't know if there was like an end result that people were looking for. Like,
Well,
we're,
it's a game.
we're looking for the unlimited run where it goes forever or something. I didn't know if that was.
It's a game in the
Or is it
sense
a
that not
goal?
every game has to have a
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah, I didn't know if there's a goal or not. Yeah. Okay.
It's just open world.
Yeah.
Ultimate open world.
Yeah. So this is it. So this is just a thing. It's just a giant experiment. There's no goal to it. It's just
No.
let's see what we can fucking do. That's all
Yeah,
it is.
this was
Okay.
It was
Alright.
1970. They were just doing shit.
They're bored. They had
They
the
were doing
fucking,
shit because they could.
they had the fucking thing that you saw the pictures in.
The viewfinder.
The viewfinder, and that's
Yeah.
all they really. That Pac-Man, and that's it. So this is entertainment back then. Atari, come on.
Hey man,
Well,
I love my.
Honestly, kind of cool. Now that you were able to break it down into stupid man terms, that's kind of cool concept.
I'm gonna have to
Especially
visit
for them
the
to be
site.
able to make in the 70s. That's pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
I will
Yes,
say
the-
the 70s when it comes to computational analysis
How
like
the
this, fucking wild what they were able to do.
How the fuck do you come up with those? Like, and I mean, that's just in general like humanity thing. How the fuck did this guy come up with those set rules?
It's
You
just-
know,
it's
how bored was he just looking at it like a grid and was just like,
it's just if then statements.
I know,
think
but like
I think
you have to have a brain for
he
that,
probably
is what I'm
just
saying.
like was just like trying to make a program that did something and then was like, what if I make a program that does these two things of this thing? And then was like, oh well, this
Well, that's
is...
what- yeah, but that's I'm just saying like that's you got to have such like a
You know, everyone's got like
you got to have a brain for that where it's like you love that kind of shit for you to come up with this. You know what I mean? Like that's such a
dude,
intellectual
everybody has a hyperfixation at so it like
yeah, that's
somewhere in
what
their
I'm looking
life.
for, yeah.
This was somebody's hyperfixation.
It's the same
to
as
do
like
this.
yeah, it's the same as the guy who like came up with like fucking binary code or whatever. Like,
Exactly.
you got to have a fixation for that to be able to come up with that shit. you know,
Okay,
Wasn't that a woman?
all right.
Probably. I don't fucking.
Here's what
I could be wrong.
here's what I should have extracted from the Wikipedia article if I hadn't phoned this in, like I said. I did. But so here's an example of how this works and what somebody was able to do with it. So from the Wikipedia page, you can build a computer by taking 3 gliders and shooting them at each other, and then it basically creates a counter, which is something that like slides back and forth
Oh,
and can increment and like represent numbers. And using like this same method, apparently it's possible to implement logical operators like and, or, and not, which is
I get this.
well,
So they
not we
made their
won't get into that, but that's basically how all computers work. Is they use logical operators like and, or,
Yeah.
and not. That's how a processor works. So
This is like
using
if
those-
aliens invented
using
computation.
those foundational like things, if you put enough of them together, you can build a computer out of it. So much to the point where somebody was actually able to build Tetris using these basic
Holy shit, that's awesome.
blocks. So if you go
So-
to the Wikipedia article and look at the source for the Tetris thing, you can find where this guy explains how he did this using these logical operators in life to build a game of Tetris.
So they pretty much use these gliders to make their own forms of zeros and ones and just built
Yeah,
from there.
that's
Is that
exactly what
I'm
it is.
understanding?
Is
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, that's how it is. It's like a cell that's alive is a 1, and a cell that's dead is a 0.
Yeah, it's binary, but
Yeah,
on-
but that's,
on and
that's,
off.
that's all computers.
I mean, that's how they relay
computer.
information. Either
Yeah.
the data is on or the data is off.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just
How
series of
interesting.
on-offs. That's super fucking cool. God,
We
I am-
all had some shit where we're just like, huh, I liked this one very well.
this was a good fucking night, guys. Like,
Went very
I'm
fucking
I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna talk Kelly's goddamn ear off about shit she does not care about.
Today I
At
learned
all.
about these things. Okay, so first off, they're either dead or they're alive. And if you put 3 alive ones next to a 4th, they will die.
You've heard about the flat Earth theory, right?
So
well,
the
let me
ice-
tell you.
Let me tell
It's
you
too
about
heavy.
the Ascension Gallery or
Too
whatever
heavy.
the fuck. And yeah.
Oh my god.
Um,
This is a this is a picture of like the actual architecture of the computer this guy built in life.
Holy fuck!
All-
He built his own RAM.
Well, that's how you have to make
That
the Tetris
makes sense
game.
because that's your memory.
Yeah, he built this computer. All these are cells in life.
Damn.
I'm finding out
Super
that I'm way
fucking
nerdier than
interesting.
I thought I was because this is giving me a hard on for sure.
I would recommend if this interests you. I took a class in college called biological computing, which it talks about this, but it also talks about like it expands on this idea where you can use like the way that living organisms behave in nature to simulate computer computation. And it's super interesting what people do with like computation using bacteria and shit like that.
Oh shit! Yeah. Law of large numbers falls into play there.
Anyway,
That's a fun one. I'm nerding out.
Mike, continue outroing the show.
We could keep talking about this shit all day.
No, I'm really happy with how all this shit went. This is a very fun
This
episode.
was fucking great.
Good job, boys.
Yeah.
Good job. I'm gonna outro by just saying, find us whatever social media you're on. We're probably on it too. We're either gonna be under like Diluti Pod or Don't Look Under the Internet. One of those. Go look for us. Give us a Spotify review. Give us a rating. 5 stars would be dope, but do whatever you feel you want to. But 5-star. Let's be real.
5 or 1.
Patreon.com/DilutiPod or go to our website, diluti.com. Shouts out to Ghoulish Mortals. Shouts out to Undefined Graphics. That's Mike Lowy right there.
My neighbor
the
soon.
logo. Yeah, right. If you want to send us an email, dilutipod@gmail.com. Send us some information, all that good shit. And go check out our Discord as well. Fun people in the Discord.
Oh yeah, you can go chat about what we're talking about and how wrong we are or
Exactly.
dumb we are.
Exactly.
It's great.
Other than that, if you want to ascend,
Oh god.
you have to have at least 3 dads in your dad
Glove
cube,
box.
your dad glove box cube. And then that ascends to the formation of Gaia, which is just a big dad in the sky.
GUYA.
Yeah. GUYA. Big dad in the sky. And it goes from there. That's all I got. What do you got, Matt?
That's fucking terrifying.
Just take your stinker and your thinker and place them together and do a
Stanky leg.
do the stanky leg.
Do the
Do the stanky leg. Do the stanky leg.
Jason, what do you got?
Fuck. I mean, stay paranoid, but like I'm still enraptured by the fucking life simulator. Like that fascinates me. I'm gonna be looking at that all night. So go check that out. But mainly stay paranoid. There's somebody in your closet right now.
Definitely.
Right now. He's breathing. And what do you got, Doug?
Hopefully.
Hell yeah, brother.
Oh yeah, brother.
Forgot to mention that. Doug, you're JD Vance again this week. That's cool. Bye, everybody. Have a blessed day, and may the Ascension people be on your side.
May the good Lord bless you.
Don't look under the internet.